Hello, can you tell me your name?
Tala,
Tala, and how old are you?
12,
You're 12, okay. And what grade are you in?
7,
Okay. And could you tell me what your disability is?
ADHD.
ADHD. Do you know what that stands for? Do you remember?
No.
No? Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. And I want to know if you were going to describe your disability to someone else, how would you describe it?
Basically, I can't, I don't pay attention, and I also go hyper.
You go hyper. What does that mean?
I'm really active, if I'm not in front of a screen.
You're active if you're not in front of a screen. And what about, what do you mean you have trouble paying attention?
The door, if the door opens, it, annoys me, and if people are talking, it's harder to concentrate.
Harder to concentrate. So how does your ADHD affect school?
It sort of makes it harder to pay attention, but not much.
Not much. Do you think it's gotten better as you've gotten older, or is it?
Definitely gotten better when I
or do you think maybe has it gotten better, or have you learned better ways to deal with it? Why do you think it's changed some?
I think I've gotten used to it, and it's easier to concentrate now that I'm in 7th grade.
Ah, okay. Do you take medicine for it?
I used to, but now I don't.
Okay. What did you notice when you took medicine? What did the medicine do? What did you notice a difference when you took medicine?
Sort of.
Sort of.
I didn't fiddle with anything as much as I would have, and I didn't eat.
You didn't eat and you didn't fiddle as much. Did it make school a little easier when you were on the medicine?
Yeah, sort of.
And I think you were in about 3rd grade when you started taking medicine. And at that point in time, you were struggling a lot with reading. Do you remember that very well when you started taking it and you were having a lot of trouble with reading?
Sort of, but not really.
Not really? Okay. That's okay. What kind of things, so you're not taking medicine now?
No.
So how do you deal with not taking the medicine? Like if you are in class and you're taking a test and there's people talking in one corner and doors opening in another and stuff going on in another spot, what do you do?
Because I'm in 7th grade, if normally most of the teachers say if they see you talking or anything, they'll just count it as a 0. And there's barely anybody talking unless they're not taking a test, and yeah.
What kind of things do you do though to help yourself focus more?
I don't talk.
You don't talk. Is it important that, does where you sit in a classroom make a difference?
No, but I like sitting up closer to the front.
It helps if you sit closer.
I can sit. I'll be fine sitting anywhere, because in my first class in social studies, I sit in the back, but it's still good.
Do you like being on the medication better or off of it better?
I like being off of it because I can eat.
You can eat. What else? What other differences do you like better being off?
It makes it so that even though I know talking at school isn't a good thing, it makes it so that I can talk to my friends easier with being off the medicine. Because normally when I'm on it, just
you don't talk as much?
No.
Well, and I know you've always been somebody who likes to think up stories and that kind of thing. Is it easier to do that with your medicine or without?
Definitely without.
Okay. Now, go ahead.
Because my friend introduced me to these YouTubers and I've been doing fan fiction, so.
So it's easier to come up with stories and be creative when you're not on your medicine?
Yeah.
What about writing down a story? Is it easier to do when you're on your medicine or off your medicine?
Off, because I've been able to write stories.
It's easier to do off?
Yeah, because I've written 3 stories the past 2-3 weeks.
And what kind of things when you're taking things like the I-STEP, because I know you have special ed services, right, because of the ADHD, what kind of accommodations. Do you know what I mean by that?
Sort of.
What do you do different than some of the other kids in your class because of the ADHD?
I get longer time, and like they can read the questions to me if
Mhm.
like they're not like comprehension or stuff like that.
Mhm.
And normally like I'm okay with them reading it, but it's not as like needed anymore.
Yeah, you don't need that quite as much. Your reading has improved a lot. Do you think that makes a big difference to know that you have extra time and to have that option to have it read?
Yeah.
That helps a lot. What about another thing? Another thing that one of your accommodations is you go into a smaller group or a different room. Does that make a big difference?
Yeah, definitely on ISF, but like in language arts,
Mm-hmm.
I mean in social studies, I'm allowed to leave the room with some people, like when we're taking like unit tests and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't normally like if we're doing big tests or writing prompts, that I like going in different small rooms with like smaller ones. But like if they're like just like small tests like quizzes and stuff, I'm good in the class.
So for shorter ones, you do well in class, but when it takes a longer time that you have to
Yeah.
pay attention, you like to go to a different. Well, I'm going to read some of these that you had written down or had told your grandma when you were younger and first started this, of things that helped you concentrate. And I want you to tell me if you still think this is accurate and a pretty good description. It helps if I sit away from the door because when people come in, I look up and forget what I'm doing. Is that pretty?
Yeah, sort
Yeah.
of. But now I don't like forget anymore.
You don't forget as
I
much?
just like look up and like, who's there?
Yeah. Let's see. I know the stuff in my head, but a lot of times I think of the next thing and I forget what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
happens still.
So what's like kind of describe to me when you're really hyper and you're moving really fast, like what's going on in your head?
Well, like,
Why?
well, I basically like I have so many different stories inside my head because like I like Minecraft, Netflix, shows, and like YouTube stuff, and like all of it just like gets jumbled together and makes really weird like.
So what do you do to help yourself keep all that stuff separate? Like if you're trying to explain something to somebody and you have all these ideas going and your mind is sort of racing, what do you do to fix that?
Like it helps if like the friend knows what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Then they could help me like cause like if I start getting off topic, they'll like help me. But I just like either I try to keep it in my head normally because like sometimes I watch Once Upon a Time, which is a TV show. It's a really complicated Spanish.
So do you think having ADHD has made friendships and social life a little more challenging?
Well, like if the friend that I have is like crazy and upbeat and fun, like active, it's easier. But like if like I can make friendships pretty well, like. But with girls, it's harder to make friendships. It's harder to find friendships with girls.
So do you think, but as far as your ADHD affecting friendships, do you think that makes it difficult sometimes because of the speed your head moves?
Yeah.
Yeah? Is that? Okay. And then, what do you think for teachers who work with kids who have ADHD? What are good suggestions for them?
Like definitely get the kids, like if they have a really good imagination, definitely get them like a notebook to write down their stories, like when they're not on medicine or anything. Because I think probably some of the best writers could be like best authors could be people with ADHD because they have so many ideas.
Because they have so many ideas. So what are some things if there's a teacher that has a kid in their class who's just really struggling to pay attention and is having a real hard time working on their work, what are some things that teachers have done to help you? Like think about like Miss Murray or Mrs. Booth, Mrs. Zilkowski, different teachers you've had when you've sort of had times where you've struggled paying attention. Are there anything that they did?
They definitely like if I like they like would help me, and like if I wanted to sit because like I think like I used to work better alone, like sitting alone, so I would ask them if I could sit alone, and
so sitting on your own. And what would be something if there are kids that are struggling with their schoolwork or socially that have ADHD? What's some advice that you would give them on how to handle their disability?
Like if you find someone with that's really active and like crazy like you, like don't like be afraid of to like ask them like if they want to be friends or not. Cause like I used to be friends with like, cause I have this friend now. Like I don't know, she doesn't have ADHD, but she's really upbeat and fun and crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And just find people that have things in common with you. That's what I do.
Okay, makes sense. Anything else you want to say about ADHD? Nope. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit of your story.